Hello everybody and welcome to Notorious Yu-Gi-Oh! I am Notorious Gly, and today is a glorious day. We have confirmed reveals from the new Jack Atlas Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend structure deck. I was beyond excited to hear that my favorite archetype of all time, my favorite deck, was getting a structure deck, and I was even more excited to see last night at about midnight my time some reveals from that structure deck. But like the sensible, wise, responsible adult I am, I realized it was getting late. I put my phone on my nightstand and I rolled over in bed, only to roll back over in like 2 minutes because I was too excited to hold back. I grabbed my phone, clicked the link, and I checked out the reveals. And ever since then, my brain has been working in hyperdrive, thinking about all the possibilities and all the cool stuff that these new cards bring to the table. Let's not waste any time. Today, we're going to be looking at the reveals. I'm going to be talking about them and then showcase some of the utility and cool stuff you can do with them, as well as give like additional thoughts about the archetype in general. Normal Resonator discussion stuff for me. Some of you may know me from my Duel Links Resonator content. I do more than just Duel Links. I'm a pretty avid TCG player and a pretty consistent Master Duel player as well. So I've played Resonator across all formats. I'm very familiar with it. And I tend to gravitate towards Duel Links because, one, it's easiest to break through in for YouTube because it's a more niche audience. It's less crowded. Shh, don't tell anybody my secret. And then it's also, up until potentially now, been the format of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where Resonators is the best. And I'm naturally going to gravitate towards the format where my favorite deck is the best to play. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into the cards and talk about them. We have Scar Red Dragon Archfiend. Really excited about this card because I think it has a lot of potential. And there's one particular effect that really caught my interest, but I'm curious to hear what all of you have to say too. Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Please, let's nerd out. Let's talk about the new cards. Let's talk about my favorite archetype and hopefully yours as well. So we have Scar Red Dragon Archfiend, level 8 Dark Dragon Synchro, 3000 attack, 2500 defense. Everything we've come to know and love from the Red Dragon Archfiends. That's perfect. And then it needs one tuner and one non-tuner Dark Monster. So a little more restrictive on the non-tuner, but it shouldn't be too big of a deal for Resonators specifically because the normal non-tuners we end up using are usually dark anyways. So yeah, not as generic as most of the other Red Dragon Archfiend offshoots, but that's okay. That's okay. It shouldn't be too big of an issue. And then it has two effects. Looks like one continuous effect and one effect you can activate once per turn. So you can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. So effect number one is this card's name becomes Red Dragon Archfiend while face up in the field or graveyard. That's really good as a continuous effect. It gets the Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend treatment, where it's always treated as RDA on field and graveyard, which is cool. Gives you access into Red Nova Dragon, I guess. That's something. Not that you should be making Red Nova Dragon in 2023, but it is kind of nice that it's an option, Also good that it works with some of the Red Dragon Archfiend support spells and traps. Those also aren't good, and you probably shouldn't be using them in 2023. Stuff like Red Dragon's Vase. Pretty bad card. Pretty one more. You shouldn't really be using it. But it's nice to know that if Konami ever does decide to retrain the Red Dragon Archfiend support cards or make another Dark Dragon Synchro monster that requires Red Dragon Archfiend specifically by name as a Synchro material, it's nice to know that we can use this one for it. So that's pretty cool, I guess. And then the second effect, so this is the once per turn effect. If this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, you can special summon one Red Dragon Archfiend from your extra deck. This is treated as a Synchro summon. Then, if this card was sent to the graveyard as a Synchro material for a Dark Dragon Synchro monster, you can destroy all your opponent's attack position monsters. So the first part of this effect is the one that has me the most intrigued. The fact that it replaces itself on board when it leaves. It doesn't care how it gets from the monster zone to the graveyard. It just needs to do that thing. So if you synchro it off, it's moving from the monster zone to the graveyard, replaces itself with Red Dragon Archfiend. That's a big synchro climb into a level 8 that you don't have to make anymore. You just get to have a level 8 synchro on board. That's incredible. And the fact that the Red Dragon Archfiend you're synchro summoning from the extra deck is synchro summoned means it's properly summoned. So if that one goes to the graveyard, you can revive it from the graveyard. That's fantastic as well. It's nice to know that that body's not dead as soon as it hits graveyard. If sending it to the graveyard for a Dark Dragon Synchro monster to like Regeki, all your opponent's attack positions monsters, is nice. I really like that it's there. I really appreciate that it's there. It's has some use going second. I don't think it definitely changes the shape or the outcome or the goal of the deck. I don't think it makes like Red Dragon Archfiend like, yeah, this deck is a blind second, go at them. No, I don't think it's doing any of that kind of stuff. Because when you think about that, you have to make a level 8 Dark Dragon Synchro. So doing that through your opponent's interaction or your opponent's board is probably going to be pretty tough. And then once Scar Red Dragon Archfiend hits the field, if your opponent picks it up and reads it, they're going to see, oh, if you synchro this off for a Dark Dragon Synchro, you're going to go ahead and just blow up everything I have in attack position. Yeah, I'm going to make sure you can't synchro with that. So at most, it'll probably be there to beta negate going second. Unless you can use some kind of board breaker mass negate stuff like Dark Ruler No More or Forbidden Droplet or something like that. In which case, the destroy everything in the attack position becomes even better. Overall, I think this card is fantastic. I'm kind of hoping we get it in a high rarity printing because I think the artwork has the potential to look great in like a foil printing. I think it could look a little washed out because the pinks and the oranges and the reds are kind of close in color. But given the right foil printing, I think it could look great, could look fantastic. So really excited to see this card. Really excited to toy around with it and see what kind of combos we can pull off with it. And then maybe see what, comes in the future that specifically requires Red Dragon Archfiend to be on field or in graveyard for. Let's move on to our next card. We have Soul Resonator. This card is... I honestly don't know what to say about this card. I lack the vocabulary to describe how excited I am for this card and how good I think it could be. So it's a Fire Fiend Tuner, level 3, 500, 200. When I first read this last night, before I got to the effects, I was like super bummed out that it was a level 3 Resonator, because one of the things I've been asking for the archetype is to like standardize the levels of the Resonators and then introduce like level modulation along the way to get them to where you want them to make the Synchro Dragon you're looking for. So initially I was a little bummed about the level 3, but I don't think that's going to be an issue given the next card we're going to take a look at, and it's also its place in the deck. So let's get on to the effects before we move on to the next card, and let's celebrate Soul Resonator. Look at that little dude. Hello, friend. Welcome to the team. You can only use the first and second effects of this card's name each once per turn. So 2 once per turn effects. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add 1 level 4 or lower fiend monster from your deck to your hand except for Soul Resonator. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except for Dark Synchro monsters. Okay, that is not a big deal. It does lock you into Dark Synchro monsters from the extra deck, but we're used to being locked into Dark Dragon Synchro monsters from the extra deck only as Resonator players. So Dark Synchro monsters is less restricted than that, so that's great. Little nervous that this card is probably going to see play in some other Synchro piles, just because it's a fantastic normal or special summon, because it gets you a lot of value. But yeah, we'll talk about that probably a little bit later too. So yeah, fantastic. As a normal summon, it gets you the non-tuner you need to go ahead and synchro summon. There's some pretty good non-tuner targets. There's some good just generic level 4 or lower fiend type targets. So I'll probably end up showcasing all those at the end of the video. I went through Dueling Book and looked at all the targets for Soul Resonator and our next card. So yeah, I'll be sure to highlight those at the end. Back to Soul Resonator and its effects. So the second effect, if a card you control would be destroyed by card effect while you control Red Dragon Archfiend or a Synchro monster that mentions it, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. That's neat, I guess. It's nice that it has some utility while it's in graveyard, and it helps your board be a little more resilient. But the main reason why I'm excited about this is because of that first effect. I've been asking for so long for Resonators for a 1-card starter, or at least some way to search the non-tuner we need to synchro summon. There is no shortage of ways to search the tuners. We really don't have a good or convincing way to search the non-tuner we need. And this allows us to do it if we don't have the non-tuner. And if we have the non-tuner, then the world is our oyster, everybody. Search the level 4 or lower fiend that you want the most. Fantastic card. Could not be more excited about it. And one important thing to keep in mind, too, is that 200 defense and that fire, attribute. I can think of a card that, can come in handy for, something with those specs. We'll touch on that later, though. Let's move on to our next card. We have this happy-looking dude. Hello. Is that Mad Archfiend? No, it couldn't be. It is. I guess be careful who you call ugly in middle school, everybody. This is Bone Archfiend, the Mad Archfiend retrain. Last card I thought to be retrained, and I'm happy they did. Card looks cool as hell, and the effects are even better. So it's a Dark Fiend, level 4, 1800, 0 attack. And then you can use the first and second effects of this card's name each once per turn. So the first effect, if this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can send one other card from your hand or field to the graveyard, special summon this card. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except Dark Dragon Synchro monsters. It's a non-tuner that you can just summon from graveyard after you've already used it that same turn for Synchro Summon, given that you haven't special summoned it from your hand. It's also a non-tuner that you can special summon from your hand by sending one other card from your hand or field to the graveyard. That's great. You can proc all kinds of hand effects or on-field effects with the sending. That's fantastic. And the fact that it can just get itself onto the field for essentially free is amazing. And then it's even more amazing that it's a level 4 or lower fiend, which means it's searchable by Soul Resonator. And the second effect here is really what ties it all together and is what has got me so excited. It's so hopeful and so optimistic about the new structure deck and the new support. So the second effect, you could target one face-up monster you control, send one fiend tuner from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, increase or decrease that target's level by 1. That's bonkers. You just get the Foolish Burial, a fiend type tuner from your deck or your hand, I guess. So if you're running Garnets, it doesn't even matter if you draw the Garnet. That's amazing. And you get to level modulate. And you get to increase or decrease. So Bone Archfiend plus Soul Resonator, when combined together, can get you anywhere. You can use Bone Archfiend to reduce Soul Resonator to make it a level 2, and then you can Synchro Summon for Red Rising Dragon. And then Red Rising Dragon, bring back the Soul Resonator to Synchro Summon into Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. That's pretty crazy. Or Red Rising could always target another Resonator that's in your graveyard and get you into whatever Synchro play you need with that. And then you can use Bone Archfiend to increase Soul Resonator's level up 1, so it's a level 4 tuner, and then you can just jump right into a level 8 Dark Dragon Synchro. That's incredible as well. So much versatility, so much flexibility with Bone Archfiend. And the fact that it's searchable by Soul Resonator is so incredible. It makes Soul Resonator a 1-card starter, and I could not be happier about it. Plus, I'm glad that they're actually retraining Jack's like signature monsters from the anime, and giving them the Ishizu type retrain, where they just go like, yeah, we're gonna use the same artwork and maybe like similar naming conventions, but the effects are gonna be nothing even close to what they used to be. So glad this card is incredibly good, but not as busted as the Ishizu stuff too. So that's good. So those are the 3 new cards that we're getting, and we're off to a good start, everybody. If this is just like some of the good stuff that they're putting out in front to get everybody excited about it, and they're holding the great stuff for the end right before release date to get everybody super excited, we are in for a treat. We might be on the verge of Resonators being competitive and competent in the modern PCG, which is something that I honestly didn't know would ever happen or not. I don't really care for Resonators or Red Dragon Archfiend to ever be meta or even be a meta contender, but I want them to be a competent strategy and competitive enough that I can bring them to locals and show up and win more than I'm going to lose and have fun. I at least want to know that playing my favorite deck gives me a chance to win. I want the Blackwings treatment, basically. Blackwings recently got support in Darkwing Blast, and their support was fantastic for them. It took them from like an archetype that was loved but dated and made them playable in the modern era of Yu-Gi-Oh! That's really all I'm looking for, and it looks like we're off to a fantastic start. I think we should take a quick couple seconds to talk about the confirmed reprints in the structure deck, and then we'll move on to the dueling book section where I show you all the cool targets for Bone Archfiend's Foolish Burial or Soul Resonator's Search. So the confirmed reprints look like it's going to be Dark Resonator, Creation Resonator, Synchron Resonator, Vice Dragon, Battle Fader, Resonator Call, and Powerful Rebirth. The only one I'm even remotely kind of maybe excited about is Creation Resonator, because that was like an $11 card like 6 months ago. I have no idea why it was $11, but it was $11. I think it's dropped since then, but it'll be nice that it's like dirt cheap now. Resonator Call is okay. You can still get a nice print of Resonator Call for relatively cheap. I think like the Ultras are like 50 cents. But it's nice to know that it's in there, so it's one less thing you have to go out and get when you purchase the structure deck. You know it's already there, ready, waiting for you, and hopefully this could be another one of the banger structure decks that Konami has put out, where it's just like buy 3, go to locals, have a good time. And then if you want to, you can add on to it to make it more competitive and competent. Dark Resonator, unless they force you to play it, you're probably not going to play it. Synchron Resonator is nice. You'll probably end up playing that. That's one that currently sees play in TCG Resonator lists. Vice Dragon, probably not going to see play. I was kind of hoping they would maybe do a retrain of Vice Dragon, because I kind of like Vice Dragon, but it requires your opponent to have a monster, so it's dead going first. It's non-playable. Battle Fader. As funny as it would be to hit your opponent with a Battle Fader in 2023, you should not be playing Battle Fader, so its inclusion is it's funny, if anything else. And then Powerful Rebirth. Weirder Call of the Haunted probably isn't going to see play either. And then I don't know what's up with the Rumbling of Heaven and Earth pack. I don't know if that's like a supplementary pack that the OCG is getting or whatever, but it looks like Red Dragon Archfiend and Red Nova Dragon are going to be in there. So hopefully those are in the structure deck or in a reprint set for us soon. So we have an accessible modern printing of Red Dragon Archfiend. I think that's it for reveals. Let's move on to the part of the video where I go over Dueling Book and show you some of the cool stuff I dug up.